Welcome into CBS News 24/7. I'm Juliette Goodrich. We continue to follow breaking news. Iran launching a missile attack against a U.S. base in Qatar in retaliation for U.S. strikes on nuclear sites in Iran over the weekend. We are following reaction on Capitol Hill. Moments ago, we heard from House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Let's take a listen.
Donald Trump and the administration chose to ignore the Constitution. And so they're going to have to come before Congress and explain their justification for an offensive military strike against Iran. Yes, we can never allow Iran to become a nuclear power. And of course, Israel has the right to defend itself and will support Israel's security in an ironclad manner. But the Trump administration intentionally decided to ignore the aggressive diplomacy that was available to it to try to address the Iranian nuclear threat and ignore the requirements of the Constitution, and now they've got to explain why.
Let's go to CBS News Congressional correspondent Nikole Killion. Nikole, what are you hearing from lawmakers right now?
Yeah, well, I want to continue in the same vein as Leader Jeffries, since I was at that press conference a short time ago. But what he said was that it is not optional for the president not to consult with Congress before using military force. Furthermore, we did ask him whether or not he was briefed about any intelligence involving today's retaliatory strikes. That is something that he said he did not get any kind of briefing. We also asked him more specifically about whether he had gotten any intelligence about whether or not any damage was done from Saturday's strikes. He said that he had not, and he said that he has been calling for a Gang of 8 briefing, which involves the congressional leadership here on Capitol Hill, as well as some of the top committee chairs, for instance, on the intelligence committees, to be briefed on this. And he says to date that has not yet happened. Now, we do know that members of Congress, both in the House and the Senate, will be briefed tomorrow about the situation involving Iran. But certainly that remains a concern of the leader, not getting enough of a heads up here. He says he just got a courtesy call. And so that is different from what we heard from Speaker Mike Johnson earlier today, who did tell us that he got a classified briefing this morning ahead of today's retaliatory strikes. Take a listen.
This is the retaliation that was expected. So far, so good. No casualties, so far as we know. And I know that the National Security Team is in the Situation Room even as we speak, and they're monitoring this. The president warned them not to retaliate, but he was also very clear that the threat of Iran obtaining nuclear capability is a threat not just to Israel and the Middle East, but to the United States as well. They've been very clear about their intentions and how much they hate us. Remember that Iran is the largest state sponsor of terrorism. All the proxies that have done such great harm to Americans over the years are at their behest. They were working on that, and the president made an evaluation that the danger was imminent enough to take his authority as commander-in-chief and make that.
Now, the speaker also went on to tell reporters that he does not think that this is the time to put forth any type of war powers resolution, which is what some members of Congress have proposed. Right now, there was a measure that was introduced last week by Kentucky Republican Thomas Massie, as well as California Democrat Ro Khanna, that would bar any U.S. involvement in the Israel-Iran conflict. Obviously, some of that is negated now with respect to this strike that we saw over the weekend, but we did see Congressman Massie renew calls for that resolution to be taken up this afternoon in the wake of these retaliatory strikes. There are also some measures pending here in the Senate, most notably by Virginia Senator Tim Kaine, who is hoping to get a vote on his resolution, which would require that Congress be allowed to debate this issue and challenge the president if any military action is used. So again, we'll have to see if those votes in fact do take place, but is certainly something something that some lawmakers are calling for in the wake not only of these strikes this afternoon, but Saturday's strike by the U.S. as well.
And Nikole, as some lawmakers are calling for it, what is the latest on the bipartisan effort to limit the president's war powers? Is there enough Republican support to get any legislation passed on this when the time is right?
Well, I think the speaker, as I just mentioned, was trying to pour cold water on that, saying that he doesn't believe that this is the time to do this, even as Congressman Massey touts that they have upwards of 57 co-sponsors on this bill, and it is a bipartisan resolution. CBS News has learned that House Democrats are also in the process of drafting a separate War Powers Act resolution. We don't have the text of that measure yet, but either way, it is a sign of lawmakers continuing to put pressure on leadership and the administration to, again, consult with Congress and to claw back some of that authority that Congress has when it comes to the declaration of war.
Thank you, Nikole.